Have you ever really thought about where truly profound evil comes from and how its shadow, well, it still stretches over us today?
It's a heavy question, definitely.
Yeah, but it feels crucial for understanding, where we are now. So today, we're diving deep, really deep into the life and, frankly, the enduring legacy of Adolf Hitler.
And crucially, the rise of neo-Nazism that we're seeing today.
Exactly. We've gathered quite a bit of material for you, historical accounts from places like history.com, Wikipedia,
Standard sources, yeah.
and also this comprehensive report that really focuses on the global threat of neo-Nazism right now.
So the mission is to unpack all this.
Right. To help you understand the man, yes, but also how these toxic ideas keep popping up around the world.
And why knowing this stuff actually matters for navigating today's challenges.
We'll pull out the key bits, the insights you need to grasp.
And it's true, looking at this period isn't just like a history lesson.
No, not at all.
It's fundamentally about critical thinking,
Yeah.
about being vigilant. The roots are deep, and the consequences were, well, horrific.
Mm-hmm.
It really underscores why we constantly need to protect human rights, defend democracy, the rule of law,
Right.
all of that. These threats evolve.
It's like a warning system embedded in history.
We could say that, definitely.
Okay, so let's get into it. Hitler's early life. He was born April 20th, 1889, Braunau am Inn, small town in Austria.
Right, near the German border.
Spent a lot of his childhood in Linz, and you might find this surprising. He really struggled in secondary school. Dropped out, actually.
Yeah, not exactly a model student.
And he had this dream, wanted to be an artist.
Applied to Vienna's Academy of Fine Arts.
Twice. Rejected both times.
And it's fascinating, isn't it, how these early knocks, these rejections,
Yeah.
especially the art school thing, it
Yeah.
seems like they really helped solidify his worldview. He developed these strong German nationalist ideas very young.
Even though he was Austrian.
Exactly. He despised the Habsburg monarchy with all its different ethnicities. His loyalty was only to Germany. He was already using the Heil greeting, singing Deutschlandlied. It seems like this early sense of grievance, like external forces were always holding him back, became a pattern.
Blaming others.
Yeah, scapegoating entire groups later on for Germany's problems. And then his time in the German army, World War I.
He got the Iron Cross.
Right, that just cemented his nationalism even further.
So how does this translate into, politics?
Well, after the war, 1919, he joins the German Workers' Party.
Which eventually becomes the Nazi Party.
Exactly. And he rises fast,
Yeah.
becomes its leader by 1921. But it wasn't a straight line to power.
No, there's the beer hall putsch.
The failed coup in Munich, 1923, landed him in prison for what, just over a year?
Yeah, not that long, really.
Which raises the question, right? What did he actually do in prison?
Good point.
That's where he dictated Mein Kampf, the
Mm.
first volume anyway,
Mm.
his autobiography, his political manifesto.
And it didn't sell well at first, did it?
No, modest initial sales. But eventually, it became Germany's biggest bestseller after the Bible. Something like 6 million copies by 1940. He even wrote a second book in 28, the Swaits book, about foreign policy. But Mein Kampf was selling so poorly initially, they didn't publish it in his lifetime.
So prison wasn't a setback.
Not really. More like a strategic pause. He refined his hateful ideology, put it down on paper.
And that time helped him figure out how to get popular support.
And it's like,
Okay.
he tapped into that widespread public anger, especially about the Treaty of Versailles.
Which many Germans saw as totally unfair. The sanctions, reparations, Article 231, the war guilt clause.
A deep sense of humiliation.
Yeah.
And he exploited it brilliantly, pushing pan-Germanism, anti-Semitism, anti-communism.
Always linking communism to this idea of an international Jewish conspiracy.
Exactly. And he was just incredibly charismatic, a powerful speaker, mastered propaganda, used radio, film.
Built that cultural dominance.
So, connecting the dots. By November 1932, the Nazis have the most seats in the Reichstag. Not a majority, but the most.
And that's when the conservative leaders made their move.
Yeah, they thought they could control him. Big mistake. They convinced President Hindenburg to make Hitler chancellor. January 30th, 1933.
A fateful day.
Absolutely. And then, almost immediately, the Reichstag passes the Enabling Act of 1933.
Which basically gave Hitler emergency powers.
Pretty much dictatorial powers. Started turning the Weimar Republic into Nazi Germany. A one-party state, totalitarian ideology.
And wasn't there the Reichstag fire decree just before that?
Crucial. February 28, 1933. Suspended basic rights, allowed detention without trial. Bam. Political opponents suppressed, just like that.
And then things get even darker, somehow.
When Hindenburg died in August 34.
That was it. The last legal obstacle gone?
Hitler just merged the jobs president and chancellor. If you're a Reichskanzler, leader and chancellor, no more checks, no balances.
Absolute power.
Even the army oath changed. Soldiers had to swear loyalty to Hitler personally.
And people voted for this.
A plebiscite approved it, 88%.
Yeah.
He had consolidated power completely.
So once he had that power, what did the regime actually do, economically, culturally?
Well, under Hitler, they pushed policies to strengthen the state and, importantly, prepare for war. Hjalmar Schacht, the Reichsbank president, became economics minister in 1934.
Right.
He oversaw this massive reconstruction and rearmament push. Financed it cleverly or maybe deceptively. Things like MIFO bills.
What were those exactly?
Basically disguised government IOUs, a way to fund rearmament off the books, secretly. Plus printing money, seizing assets.
Especially from Jewish people.
Yes, absolutely. And it worked, in a way. Unemployment plummeted. 6 million in 32, under 1 million by 36.
Created a sense of recovery.
A false sense, maybe, but politically effective.
And the big infrastructure projects.
Yeah.
Autobahns, dams.
Huge campaigns, yeah. Building roads, railroads. But there was a cost. Wages actually went down slightly.
Really?
And the cost of living went up about 25%.
And culturally, he sponsored those huge architectural projects.
Oh, yeah, grand, imposing stuff. And the 1936 Berlin Olympics. He officiated.
But that was a facade, too, wasn't it?
Totally. They were downplaying the persecution of Jews then. They're trying to look good for the international community. German Jewish athletes.
Yeah.
Forbidden from competing.
All about image control.
From early 38, though, his foreign policy was just laser-focused on war.
Lebensraum.
Living space. He kept repeating it. Ordered war preparations for the East as early as 1938. He genuinely believed Germany's living standards could only be saved through military aggression.
That came out in the Hossbach Memorandum, right?
Exactly. That secret meeting in 37 where he laid out his expansionist plans, it led directly to the Anschluss unifying with Austria in March 38.
And then Czechoslovakia, the Sudetenland crisis.
Manipulating that situation, yeah.
So how did this all lead directly to World War II?
Well, he tried to make Poland a satellite state. They refused. So he just decided to invade. Ordered the military plan, Fall Weiss, for August 25th.
He also renounced treaties.
Yep. The Anglo-German Naval Agreement, the Non-Aggression Pact with Poland, just tore them up. Some historians think he was rushing, afraid he'd die early.
Believing only he had the willpower to do it.
Something like that. That his successors wouldn't be strong enough.
And the war itself, the invasion of the Soviet Union seems like a turning point.
Operation Barbarossa, June 22, 1941. Massive invasion, over 3 million Axis troops. Completely broke the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact.
The non-aggression pact they'd signed just 2 years earlier.
Yeah. The goal was to crush the USSR, grab its resources, and hope Britain would finally negotiate.
But it didn't go to plan.
Not entirely. They advanced fast initially, but Hitler made this decision to halt the push towards Moscow. Diverted tank groups south.
Why?
To secure resources, industrial areas. But it caused a huge crisis in the military leadership. Many see it as a major reason the Moscow offensive ultimately failed.
And sitting behind all this military action, the Holocaust.
The absolute core of the horror. It stemmed from Hitler's long-held belief Jews were the enemy of the German people.
And Lebensraum required defeating Poland, the Soviet Union.
And then removing or killing the Jews and Slavs living there. The General Plan Ost, the master plan for the East, called for deporting or murdering millions in occupied territories.
So Germans could colonize the land.
That was the vision.
Is there like a direct order from Hitler for the mass killings?
No single smoking gun order has ever been found. But
Or
his public speeches, his orders to generals, the diaries of top Nazis, it's abundantly clear he conceived it, he authorized it, the extermination of European Jews.
and the Wannsee Conference.
January 42, led by Heydrich. Clear evidence of systematic planning for the final solution.
And it wasn't just the 6 million Jews.
No, nearly 2 million non-Jewish Polish civilians, over 3 million Soviet POWs, communists, political opponents, gay people, disabled people, countless others.
It's staggering, and he never spoke about it publicly, never visited the camp.
Never. He kept a distance publicly. But his regime was busy enacting things like the Nuremberg Laws in 1935.
Banning marriage, relationships between Aryans and Jews, stripping citizenship.
And those early eugenics policies, leading to Action T4.
The euthanasia program. Killing disabled people they deemed unworthy of life. Chilling.
His whole leadership style, the Führerprinzip,
Leader principle.
utterly autocratic,
Right.
demanded absolute obedience. But he also gave contradictory orders sometimes.
Why'd do that?
To foster distrust, competition among his ministers, it kept them weak, consolidated his own power. His cabinet basically stopped meeting after 1938.
He just ruled by decree.
Or verbally, often through his aide Martin Bormann, who controlled access and information flow.
What about religion? That seems complicated too.
Very. Born Catholic, his mother was devout. But as an adult, never went to Mass. Privately, he hated the church, called Christianity absurd.
But publicly.
Praised Christian heritage, even talked about an Aryan Jesus.
Yeah.
Trying to co-opt it, maybe.
It was that OSS report too.
The precursor to the CIA, yeah. It claimed his ultimate goal was to totally eliminate Christianity, but he planned to wait until after the war.
Wow. And propaganda was key to all of this.
Absolutely essential. Documentary films, newsreels. Building that cult of personality. Leni Riefenstahl's Triumph of the Will is the prime example. Powerful, manipulative filmmaking.
So, shifting gears a bit, what's the core legacy here? The Nuremberg trial seems central.
Definitely. Set up by the Allies for the just and prompt trial and punishment of the major war criminals.
And the verdict, October 1st, 1946.
It laid out responsibility for unleashing aggression, crimes against peace, massive war crimes against prisoners, civilians.
A landmark event.
Hugely pivotal. It declared that Nazi atrocities were grave violations of international law, the Hague Conventions, the Kellogg-Briand Pact outlawing war.
And the UN picked up on this.
Yes, the General Assembly confirmed the Nuremberg Principles. They became fundamental to combating crimes against humanity, embedded in things like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, conventions against war crimes.
So these legal frameworks we have now.
Many emerged directly from the horrors of World War II, trying to prevent anything like it ever again. Principles about non-discrimination, even limits on free speech if it incites hatred.
But the report we looked at suggests maybe that vaccine from Nuremberg is wearing off.
That's the concerning phrase it uses, yeah. Starting to languish. It describes a global resurgence of neo-Nazism. Nazi ideas being propagandized, radical nationalists lifting their heads.
Posing a threat to human rights, democracy, rule of law.
Yeah, exactly. And just to be clear, like you said, we're not taking sides here. We're relaying what's in the sources, the details about efforts to distort history, rehabilitate collaborators.
So according to these sources, where is this happening today?
Well, the report details it across many countries. It's not uniform. It takes different shapes.
Okay.
You see outright extremist violence, organized groups, like in Germany, still dealing with many right-wing radicals, neo-Nazis, thousands of crimes, yearly attacks on refugees, anti-Semitic acts.
Great in Sweden.
The Nordic resistance movement, major neo-Nazi group, paramilitary training, classified as a terrorist group.
Then there's the historical revisionism angle.
Right. Glorifying collaborators. Look at Croatia. Neo-Nazis there based their ideology on the Ustaša movement, responsible for genocide in WWII. Controversies over renaming squares, monuments to collaborators, Ustaša symbols at concerts.
And in the Baltics.
Similar patterns. In Latvia, the report mentions parliament members in Waffen-SS marches, monuments to SS units, even a musical praising a member of the Arajas Commando who massacred Jews.
Wow.
In Lithuania, it links rising neo-Nazism and xenophobia to policies that, according to the source, falsify WWII history, equate Nazi and Soviet crimes, heroize collaborators like the Forest Brothers, and downplay Lithuanian involvement in the Holocaust. Marches feature swastikas.
And courts okaying the swastika as historical heritage.
That's what the report states, citing legal decisions there. Very troubling.
Okay, let's cross the Atlantic. The United States.
Hundreds of extremist groups reported there. The largest neo-Nazi one mentioned is the National Socialist Movement.
But the First Amendment complicates things.
Massively. It protects expressing neo-Nazi views. The famous Skokie case affirmed the right to display the swastika as symbolic speech.
Which means these groups can hold rallies.
Often under police protection, ironically. And then there's the rise of these accelerationist groups, like the Base.
Focused on causing chaos.
Exactly. Founded by a former Pentagon contractor, reportedly based in Russia, recruiting in the U.S., allegations of ties to Russian intelligence. It raises serious questions about inciting violence.
And the report also mentions the U.S. recruiting former Nazis after the war.
Yeah, over 1,000 recruited by the FBI, CIA as informers, some known war criminals like Klaus Barbie.
The Butcher of Lyon.
And, unbelievably, dozens of former war criminals, even concentration camp guards, kept getting U.S. Social Security checks for years.
As compensation?
Until recent legislation stopped it. It's quite shocking.
The report also flags Ukraine specifically.
Yes, it expresses particular concern there. It states, and again we're conveying the source's perspective, that a whole set of neo-Nazi, extremist, far radical organizations and parties are freely operating.
And it links modern Ukrainian nationalism, too.
To aggressive methods of asserting Ukrainian exclusiveness, especially against Russians, Jews, and Poles. It claims ideological roots connected to the NSDAP, Hitler's party.
It mentions specific figures being rehabilitated.
Yes, leaders like Stepan Bandera and Roman Shukevich, who are accused of mass murders. It talks about propaganda targeting youth, kids chanting nationalist slogans.
Glory to Ukraine, glory to heroes, death to Muscovites.
That's the chant cited. And the prevalence of OUN greetings, that's the Organization of Ukrainian Nationalists, a historical far-right group among public figures.
And laws rewriting history.
The report claims laws have been passed that rewrite the history of their own state and equate Nazi aggressors with liberators. It even describes language laws as discriminatory, mentioning proposals for criminal liability for speaking Russian publicly.
And the graffiti image.
Yeah, graffiti in Lvov saying Galicia Division, Heroes of Ukraine. That division was an SS volunteer unit.
Okay. So pulling this all together, this deep dive into Hitler, the Nazi era, and its echoes today, what's the main takeaway?
For me, it's how deeply history is woven into right now. Understanding how such a destructive ideology rose, its impact, and how it keeps showing up. It's not just academic.
No, it feels vital.
It's an act of vigilance, really. The world tried to build safeguards after WWII international law institutions.
The Nuremberg principles?
Exactly. But as the sources show, those seeds, anti-Semitism, neo-Nazism, intolerance, chauvinism, they can still find fertile ground. Sometimes subtly, sometimes overtly. They adapt.
So what does this mean for you listening right now?
It means recognizing the fight isn't over. It takes constant attention to historical truth, protecting human rights, defending democracy. Always.
It's an ongoing responsibility.
Absolutely. Maybe consider this. We're drowning in information, and historical revisionism is rampant. How can really understanding this past, the mechanics of hate, the path to atrocity, equip you better?
To recognize the threats today.
Yeah, exactly. To challenge these ideologies even when they appear in new, maybe disguised forms. How do you spot the patterns before they take root again?